Just yesterday, Chiki was a little girl locked in a fierce battle with her final exams. How did she inexplicably fall into the historical fantasy novel she was reading and become the ill-fated seventh princess, a character who dies before the end of the first episode? What is this filthy thing? Drag her out and behead her. How dare you claim to be my child when you're this ugly? Chiki fought back her tears. She couldn't cry. In the original story, her mother had offended the favored third princess. When the timid seventh princess tried to beg for mercy, she burst into tears, infuriating the tyrant and getting herself beheaded on the spot. There was only one way out of this: shamelessly weaponize her cuteness to survive. Father Emperor, Chiki isn't ugly. Chiki will try her best to grow up to be as handsome as you are. The tyrant looked disgusted and kicked the grimy little girl away, but Chiki shamelessly scrambled right back and hugged his leg. After this happened a few times, the tyrant picked her up by the scruff of her neck. "I've never in my life seen a child so ugly and so shameless," he said before dropping her back on the floor without a hint of pity. "What will we do if you're still this ugly when you grow up?" "Father Daddy is so handsome." Chiki comes from good stock, so she'll definitely be just as handsome as Father Daddy. Father Daddy! A flicker of something unreadable crossed the tyrant's eyes. He had many children, but not a single one dared to call him Daddy. "You ugly child, and you're not afraid of me at all. Interesting." Chiki batted her big, sparkling eyes, keeping the cute act going. "Father Daddy is handsome. I'd like to see what kind of person an ugly child like you grows into," the tyrant said with a sudden, cold smile. "Fine, we'll keep you and see." Seeing the tyrant smile, Chiki figured she had survived. But just as she relaxed, a chilling frostiness appeared in his upturned lips. "But if you grow up ugly, I'll throw you to the wolves on the back mountain." The tyrant was as savage as the dozen wolves he kept on that mountain. He called them his pets, but they were really man-eaters. Hearing his threat, Chiki's little heart pounded. She was not going to be wolf food. Although she'd escaped beheading for now, her living quarters were more dilapidated than the cold palace. Tears of self-pity welled in her eyes. This was just miserable. Just then, a faint meow caught her attention. She crept closer and gasped. It was an adorable, fluffy cat, but its back leg looked injured. "No wonder you were crying over here," Chiki whispered. She gently bandaged the leg and stroked its head. "Big white cat, I wish I could adopt you, but I'm too poor to even feed myself." The big cat, who she nicknamed Bai, seemed to understand. It turned and trotted towards a corner of the wall. Chiki followed and saw a small hole. Filled with curiosity, she wiggled her little butt and crawled through. She couldn't believe it. On the other side of the wall was a completely different world. It was gorgeous. Chiki's eyes lit up. She immediately spotted a pavilion in the distance with a table full of delicious food. The little girl's short legs pumped as she dashed over. The heavens were smiling on her. She had a reason to live again. Suddenly, a cool breeze swept by, sending a shiver down her spine. The tyrant was napping on a soft couch in the pavilion. "The tyrant!" Chiki gasped. She had stumbled into the tyrant's personal courtyard. Her first instinct was to run for her life, but her stomach betrayed her. Gritting her teeth, she tiptoed closer. "Father Daddy?" the little girl whispered, testing the waters. When the tyrant didn't stir, she relaxed, and finally reached a greedy little hand toward the chicken leg she'd been eyeing. She was happily munching away when a voice from outside announced the arrival of Consort Jen. Chiki jumped. "Oh no, someone's here! The tyrant is going to wake up!" In a panic, she spotted the space under the table, grabbed a few pineapple cakes, and scurried underneath. The next second, the tyrant's eyes opened. "Come in." Chiki held her breath, too scared to make a sound. "Your Majesty, I've missed you so much." Consort Jen's syrupy voice made Chiki flinch. The movement dislodged a pineapple cake from her sleeve, and it rolled out, stopping right next to the tyrant's jade-slippered foot. The little girl's face went pale. Mustering her courage, she reached out a tiny hand, fumbling blindly, until thankfully she snatched the cake back just before the tyrant noticed. "I've recently learned a new dance, and I came to perform it just for you, Your Majesty." A wicked smile played on the tyrant's lips. "How thoughtful of you, my dear. Go on, dance, but you can't stop until I say so." Consort Jen was completely mesmerized by him. But Chiki's scalp tingled. That was not a good smile. This consort was in for it. The consort began to dance, her heart soaring. She kept shooting flirtatious glances at the emperor, then pretended to trip and stumbled towards him. But before she could land in his arms, the tyrant grabbed her by the neck and threw her to the ground. "Guards, drag her away." The eunuchs at the door rushed in, grabbed Consort Jen by the hair, and dragged her out. The little girl watched in horror. This tyrant was inhuman. Chiki trembled in her hiding spot, wondering why he wasn't leaving. The dance was over, the woman was gone. What was he waiting for? Suddenly, there were two sharp taps on the table above her. A low, male voice followed. "How much longer are you going to hide under there? Do you want me to drag you out myself?" The little girl's face crumpled. It was over. Her short life was about to end again. Everyone has to die sometime, she thought grimly. As she prepared to crawl out, she heard a soft meow, followed by the tyrant's voice. You naughty thing. I had to call you several times before you'd come out. Cheeky let out a huge sigh of relief. He was talking to Bai. So Bai was his cat? She didn't remember when the tyrant left. Hiding under the table, she'd gotten too sleepy and had drifted off. When she woke up, she was lying on the tyrant's soft couch. Did I sleepwalk, she wondered? At least he was gone. Time to get out of here! She scurried on her short legs toward the hole in the wall. Just as she was about to duck through, she felt a tug from behind. She turned to see Bai. Were you waiting for me? Cheeky was surprised. Let's go back together. One kid and one cat squeezed back through the hole. What Cheeky didn't know was that the tyrant was watching them from a distance. That ugly child is actually quite amusing. The moment Bai was on the other side, its fur stood on end. Cheeky followed its gaze and saw several young men and women in her own pavilion. Are they the ones who hurt Bai? She wondered aloud. The next moment, she was lifted into the air by the back of her collar. A young eunuch grinned. Well, well, princess, look what I found. The third princess, Ye Yunchang, glared at Cheeky. So you're the one who saved this little beast? Seeing Bai also being held up, Cheeky panicked and, with tears in her eyes, started biting wildly. Don't you dare hurt Bai! The eunuch yelped in pain and threw the little girl to the ground. Your Highness, look at what this wretched little thing did. The third princess's eyes were cold. Guards, tie her up! Then she nudged Cheeky's chin with the tip of her shoe. The wolf's father keeps on the back mountain, haven't had a special treat in a while. A short time later, on the back mountain, a girl and a cat lay weakly on the ground, while the third princess watched the show with amusement. Hey, Cheeky cried out, but the little cat didn't move. In the distance, a wolf howled. Cheeky watched as they slowly approached. Was she really going to die like this? It wasn't fair. The foul stench of decay and the sound of animal panting made her curl up in fear, covering her head. She braced herself to be torn apart, but after a long moment, nothing happened. She peeked through one eye and saw a pair of small black cloth shoes. Before she could look up, the tyrant suddenly sat down and lifted her chin. Father Daddy, Cheeky mumbled in disbelief. The next second, she burst into tears. The others, seeing the emperor, finally reacted, all dropping to their knees in terror. The tyrant swept a cold, murderous gaze over them, then swiftly shot an arrow that struck the alpha wolf. The third princess froze. She couldn't believe the tyrant would kill the wolf she had raised for years, just to save that ugly child. Then, the tyrant lifted the barely conscious little girl into his arms. Cheeky's small hand clenched into a fist. Father Daddy, my cat, may save Bai. Something struck the man's heart. Even in this state, she was still thinking about an animal. Just then, head eunuch Zhao arrived with the imperial guards. He breathed a sigh of relief seeing the emperor was unharmed. He'd nearly had a heart attack. One moment, the tyrant was listening to music in a high tower. The next, he'd seen something, grabbed a bow and arrow, and jumped out the window. It was a drop of over 40 feet. Zhao had never been so terrified in his life. He had rushed his men through the gates and was now even more stunned to see the little girl in the tyrant's arms. Isn't that the seventh princess? The tyrant's eyes were cold. Summon the imperial physician, and bring that animal on the ground with us. Zhao's jaw dropped for the third time. My God, the seventh princess is raising a tiger. Seeing the tyrant carrying the filthy Cheeky, the third princess felt a pang of jealousy and hurried after them. She was about to speak but was silenced by the tyrant's icy glare. Have I been spoiling you too much? Guards, take all of them and execute them. His words sent a wave of panic through the group, and they all began begging for their lives. The third princess was stunned. She never imagined her father would look at her with such coldness and kill her servants, all for an ugly child. And wasn't he a neat freak? How could he be holding that dirty thing in his arms? How could this be happening? The trembling Zhao, after his third shock of the day, was shocked yet again. The tyrant placed the grimy little girl onto the royal dragon bed. Not even his consorts had ever been allowed to stay the night there. A long time later, Cheeky groggily woke up. She was about to touch her aching head when a deep voice stopped her. Don't touch it. Cheeky was instantly wide awake. That voice couldn't be. She slowly turned her head and saw the tyrant sitting in a chair not far from the bed. She vaguely recalled him saving her. Could this be his bedchamber? Her clothes had been changed, and even her hair smelled fresh and clean. Had the tyrant shown mercy? The tyrant watched the silent little girl and frowned. Feeling the chill in the air, Cheeky immediately looked up and chirped in her sweetest voice, Father Daddy. At that moment, Zhao looked at the little girl on the bed, and his heart melted. Who knew she'd be so adorable and fluffy once she was cleaned up? Just then, a maid brought in a bowl of medicinal soup. Zhao was about to take it to feed the cute little princess, when the tyrant held out a hand. Give it to me. This was officially old Zhao's day of 1,000 shocks. His Majesty was going to personally feed the seventh princess her medicine. Cheeky watched in awe as the tyrant approached with the bowl. Even without saying a word, the man radiated an intimidating pressure. The tyrant brought the spoon to her lips, and she leaned forward, still a bit scared. "Your Majesty," Zhao quickly interjected, "the soup was just brewed. It needs to be cooled a bit before she can drink it." The tyrant instinctively frowned. Is raising a child this much trouble? He grumbled internally but still lowered his head and blew on the spoonful of soup a few times. Once it was cooler, he offered it to Cheeky again. The next second, the bitter taste made the little girl's eyes roll back in her head. Zhao immediately brought over a plate of sweet dates. "Seventh princess, have something sweet to chase it down." Cheeky could have knelt and thanked him. What a good man. She started munching away happily. But as she ate, she felt an unsettling gaze. Why was the tyrant staring at her? After a moment of hesitation, the little girl picked up a date and offered it to him. "Father, Daddy, have a date?" Beside them, Zhao wanted to remind the little girl that His Majesty never ate sweets. But the next second, he was proven spectacularly wrong. The tyrant actually took the date and ate it. Dates are sweet. Father, Daddy can have them all. The tyrant watched her smile, her eyes crinkling, and felt a pang in the softest part of his heart. He had many children, but he felt nothing for them. Even the third princess, who everyone thought was his favorite, was only given that status because she was the empress's daughter. But when this ugly child was in danger, his heart had seized. That connection, the one of blood, was something he'd never felt before. The tyrant looked at the little girl. Now that she was clean, she was much easier on the eyes. He remembered her words about coming from good stock. His thoughts were interrupted when he noticed how many dates she'd eaten. He snatched the plate from her. "Too many sweets are bad for your teeth." The ever-resourceful Zhao spoke up. "Your Majesty, perhaps the seventh princess is hungry. Then serve the meal." A line of maids brought in dish after dish of exquisite food. Cheeky's eyes sparkled. It was true what they said, hug the right thigh and you'll never go hungry. Time to eat. Cheeky had just thrown back the covers to hop off the bed when the tyrant picked her up. He couldn't help but think, why is this child so light? Doesn't the household staff feed her? He frowned, but the little girl in his arms saw his expression and flinched. Why was this tyrant so moody? But when she saw the dazzling array of food on the table, she forgot everything else. Her stomach let out an embarrassing grumble. The man looked down at her. "Hungry?" The child nodded frantically. "Tummy is hungry." The tyrant gently ruffled the little kid's hair. Cheeky looked up into his deep eyes and was captivated. The tyrant really was, just as the book described, the most handsome man in the northern lands. Putting aside his murderous, tyrannical nature, having a dad this handsome wasn't so bad. As long as he didn't chop her head off, of course. Once at the table, the little girl sat primly in her chair, not daring to move despite the feast before her. "Am I that scary?" the tyrant asked, noticing her tension. Cheeky immediately shook her head, but he could see she wasn't being truthful. He picked up a piece of fish, carefully removed the bones, and placed it in her bowl. "Are you not going to eat?" "Right away," the little girl responded nervously. Behind them, Zhao was speechless. Why was His Majesty being so attentive to the seventh princess? Not long ago, he was ordering her to be dragged out and beheaded. As Cheeky ate, she suddenly remembered Bai. She looked up at the tyrant, her face full of worry. "Father, Daddy, Bai... Don't worry, seventh princess," Zhao reassured her. "Bai is fine." But Zhao still couldn't understand why the princess would keep a tiger cub of all things. Cheeky, of course, had no idea. She still thought Bai was just a big, fluffy cat. The tyrant watched the ugly child's every move and found her more and more pleasing to the eye. After they had eaten their fill, the father and daughter relaxed, and the little girl let out a contented burp. This was the best meal she'd had since arriving in this world. But she'd probably be sent back to her rundown courtyard soon. She sighed. The road to securing her position was long and arduous. Just then, Zhao approached with a tray. "Your Majesty, it is time to choose a consort for the evening." The tyrant glanced at the name tablets on the tray without much interest. Cheeky's eyes landed on them. Although the man in the book was cruel, he wasn't given to lust. His intelligence, decisiveness, and aloof aura were what had earned him a massive fan base among readers. As the little pipsqueak was thinking, her mind wandered back to food. She grabbed a small pastry and began to nibble on it. The tyrant, however, pushed the tray of tablets toward her. The little girl, her cheeks puffed out, blinked her big, sparkling eyes in confusion. "You choose one." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Huh? You want me to choose?" "Ugly child, you help me pick one." Hearing this, Cheeky nearly choked on her pastry. Was this tyrant for real? He didn't know who he wanted to sleep with? She hesitated, looking at the tablets. "Well, Father, Daddy, who do you like the most?" Her answer surprised the tyrant. He hadn't expected the ugly child to ask for his preference. He pinched her soft cheek. Little pipsqueak, do you even know what these tablets are for? Cheeky's mouth twitched. She had almost forgotten her cover as a 5.5-year-old. How would she know what this meant? Stay calm, don't panic. The next moment, Cheeky tilted her head, feigning innocence. Isn't it for finding someone to sleep with? My mother used to hold one of these and say she wanted to sleep with Father Daddy. So you're saying I should choose your mother's tablet tonight? The man's eyes turned cold as he thought, so young and already trying to win favor for her mother. But Cheeky immediately shook her head. No, you can't. My mother got hurt recently. She can't kiss and hug and sleep with Father Daddy. With that, she went back to devouring her pastry. Nearby, Zhao suppressed a laugh. This little girl knew quite a lot. The tyrant's expression softened. It seemed he'd been too suspicious. The ugly child was still simple and innocent. He waved a hand. Take them away. I won't be choosing anyone tonight. Zhao sighed internally. The ladies of the harem will be crying a river tonight. Before long, Cheeky started to feel sleepy, her eyelids getting heavy. Seeing this, the tyrant gently picked her up and walked toward the bed. Is the tyrant going to let me sleep here tonight? Cheeky thought. But she remembered the book saying he was a major germaphobe. Even his consorts were only allowed to sleep with him in the side chambers. Cheeky was so nervous she could barely breathe. Oh no, the tyrant was getting into bed too. She could feel his cold aura enveloping her. What if he woke up in the middle of the night, decided he didn't like her and just hit her? She instinctively began to inch away toward the corner of the bed. The tyrant, noticing the ugly child moving farther and farther away from him, looked extremely displeased. Am I a ghost? Why is she so far away? Every other woman in the palace practically threw herself at him, yet this ugly child dared to show her disgust. He turned and grabbed her by the collar, pulling her back. It's not like I'm going to eat you or... He trailed off when he realized the ugly child was already fast asleep. The man subconsciously smoothed the little kid's hair, his anger softening. He looked at the little kid's features, so similar to his own, and a hint of affection he didn't even notice himself crept into his eyes. The next morning, Zhao came as usual to help the tyrant dress. But when he entered the inner chamber, he was startled to find the tyrant already sitting in a chair, his face dark and gloomy. Zhao asked cautiously, Your Majesty, why are you up so early today? The man didn't say a word, radiating a menacing, stay-away vibe. Your Majesty, did you not sleep well last night? The tyrant suddenly stood up, his dark gaze fixed on the little kid sleeping soundly on the bed. Zhao glanced at the little girl, thinking, did she make a fuss during the night? No, that can't be right. She's 5.5, she doesn't drink milk at night. The more the tyrant thought about it, the angrier he got. Who would have thought this little kid would snore, grind her teeth, and even fart in her sleep? If it weren't for the fact that she was his own flesh and blood, he would have been tempted to strangle her. He pointed at the bed. You, go wake her up for me. Now? But the 7th princess is sleeping so soundly. The tyrant shot him a sharp look, and Zhao immediately shut his mouth. He went to the bed and gently shook the little girl. 7th princess, wake up. Your daddy wants you to get up and go potty. Being woken up so abruptly, the little girl whimpered and rubbed her eyes, reluctantly sitting up in a daze. Zhao's heart melted at the sight. The next second, the little girl reached her arms out toward the tyrant. Father, Daddy, hug! Seeing the man's still dark face, Zhao quickly offered his own arms. 7th princess, how about this old servant gives you a hug? But the little girl pouted, her expression full of grievance, and turned her head away. The man, who had been unmoved, suddenly took a few steps forward and scooped up the red-eyed little kid. The little girl immediately started wailing and pointed at Zhao. Zhao quickly tried to explain. 7th princess, this old servant is innocent. It was... Before he could finish, the tyrant shot him a death glare, then gently comforted the little girl. Don't cry. Don't cry. But now Zhao was the one who wanted to cry. This was the greatest injustice of his life. Once Cheeky was comforted, she lifted her head and called out, Father, Daddy! Then with a little moi, she planted a good morning kiss on the man's cheek. The sudden kiss made the tyrant freeze. He looked at the little kid in disbelief. This little thing dared to kiss me? Nearby, Zhao was completely stunned. His Majesty has so many children, but has any of them ever been so bold? She actually dared to kiss him. Heavens, is she going to get swatted to death? Cheeky said in her sweet, milky voice, Cheeky likes Daddy. Mommy said if you like someone, you should kiss them. Does Daddy like Cheeky? Looking at the little kid's expectant face, the tyrant asked himself the same question. Do I like this daughter? But when the tyrant didn't answer for a long time, Cheeky seemed to have her answer. She slowly let go of him, feeling that she shouldn't have asked. He was the cruel and ruthless tyrant from the book. She must have gotten carried away. What if she angered him? But for some reason, Cheeky felt a pang of sadness. She had grown up without a father. She only knew he was a police officer who had died in the line of duty, so she had never experienced the fatherly love others took for granted. But the tyrant's actions last night had given her a small taste of it. But in the end, it was just her own wishful thinking. "It's okay, Father Daddy. You should go to court. Cheeky will be good." The tyrant saw the little kid forcing a smile despite her unhappiness, and his heart inexplicably softened. But the next second he clenched his fists. "As the ruler of a nation, weakness is the ultimate taboo. I cannot have one." He glanced coldly at the little kid, then turned and left without a second look. Zhao saw the tears welling in the little girl's eyes and wanted to comfort her, but he couldn't exactly call the emperor a jerk. He could only instruct the maids to take good care of her and then hurried after the tyrant. After being dressed by the maids, Cheeky was transformed. The adorable little doll had instantly won over 2 more fans. Cheeky poked her own cheek in the mirror. She had to admit the tyrant's genes were top-notch. The food was good, the clothes were beautiful, but Cheeky sighed. She'd probably be sent back to that broken-down courtyard soon. The next moment, a little "a-woo" sound reached her ears. She turned and saw her beloved cat Bai. The two of them ran toward each other. "Hey, I missed you so much." Cheeky happily hugged Bai, but the maids behind her were trembling in fear. The 7th princess is raising a tiger at such a young age. The next second, Cheeky shoved Bai right in front of the maids' faces. "Pretty sisters, don't you think Bai is so cute?" The maids immediately dropped to their knees. "7th princess, spare us!" Cheeky was baffled. Why was everyone in the palace afraid of a cat? Bai also looked hurt and snuggled into Cheeky's arms. "Look, you've hurt Bai's feelings. But tigers are ferocious by nature. We are truly afraid." "What? Wait, a tiger?" Cheeky froze. "Bai is a tiger." Meanwhile, in the throne room, the tyrant's face was dark. Old Zhao stood behind him, trembling. "Disheng," the man said suddenly, startling Old Zhao. "Your Majesty, what is it?" The man wanted to ask about the little kid, but after hesitating for a long time, he couldn't bring himself to say it. "Never mind, it's nothing." After court was dismissed, the tyrant sat in silence for a full half-hour before heading out. The 3rd princess was already waiting for him at the door. When she saw him, she immediately went up to him. "Father, are you still angry with me?" "I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have quarreled with 7th sister like that yesterday." Looking at the 3rd princess clutching at him, the tyrant was reminded of how the little kid did the same thing, and his mood softened. "Forget it. Just don't do it again." The 3rd princess nodded eagerly. "Then are you free now, father? You promised you would teach me swordsmanship today." "It has been a while since I last guided you," he said, slowly raising his hand. Just as his fingers were about to touch the 3rd princess's hair, he paused. "Nice. When did I pick up this habit of patting heads?" "Father, what's wrong?" "Nothing. Let's go to the training grounds." Seeing this, old Zhao cautiously tested the waters. "Your Majesty, what about the 7th princess?" "Send her back to her own place." The 3rd princess, hearing this, smiled faintly. A daughter of a disgraced consort trying to compete for favor? How delusional. Meanwhile, old Zhao went back and escorted Cheeky to her courtyard. He had heard from the maids that after the little girl found out Bai was a tiger, he was worried she might be scared and suggested sending Bai to the menagerie. Cheeky immediately shook her head. "Even though Bai is a tiger, he's very gentle. I'll raise him myself." Soon, Cheeky was back at her courtyard. But looking at the once dilapidated place, now completely renovated, she was stunned. She couldn't even believe it was the same place. Old Zhao smiled. "His Majesty specifically ordered the courtyard to be renovated? Does the 7th princess like it?" "I love it. I love it so much." Finally, her suffering was over. No more living in that rundown shack. "Since your Highness likes it, please don't forget the big day in 10 days. It's His Majesty's birthday. Your Highness mustn't forget to prepare a gift." Cheeky panicked. Oh no, she was broke. What could she possibly give him? For the next few days, Cheeky didn't see the tyrant. It wasn't until his birthday that she got up and went to Wenda Hall. To her surprise, no one else was there yet. She realized that since she'd arrived, she had only met the 3rd princess. In the original story, the tyrant's 3 sons were each more ruthless than the last. She hoped she wouldn't be targeted today. Be invisible, nobody can see me." But the next moment, a strange voice sounded in her ear. "Well now, who is this adorable little dumpling? Don't you have anything to say to your uncle?" "You ungrateful little thing, have you forgotten your royal uncle? I used to change your diapers." Hearing this, Cheeky immediately remembered. This was the 9th prince from the original story, Ye Mohan, who never married. He was the kindest person to the original Cheeky and went on a dark, vengeful path after her death. Cheeky snapped back to reality and chirped, "9th royal uncle. Aw, Nanan is such a good girl. 9th uncle wants a hug." The man was surprised by the little girl asking for a hug. He thought she would be distant after not seeing him for over a year. "Of course, uncle will give Nanan a big hug." One doting, one cooing, they looked just like a real father and daughter. Coincidentally, the tyrant arrived at that exact moment, radiating a formidable aura. The first thing he saw was his little kid being held in someone else's arms. Cheeky saw the tyrant's dark gaze fixed on her and immediately burrowed into her ninth uncle's embrace. But the ninth prince wasn't scared at all. Instead, a smile played on his lips. "Your imperial brother, please forgive my disrespect. It's just difficult to bow with something in my arms." "Ninth brother, no need for formalities. But since you're having trouble moving with that thing in your arms, you should probably put it down." Cheeky was confused. This didn't seem right. In the early part of the story, they didn't have any issues with each other. The ninth prince put the little girl down, and only then did the tyrant turn and continue inside. The ninth prince turned and comforted the little girl. "Don't be scared, Nanan, your father is always so cold. After this is over, I'll sneak you out of the palace for some fun, okay?" Hearing this, Cheeky nodded excitedly. "Ninth uncle is the best." "Thank you, ninth uncle. Cheeky likes ninth uncle the most." "Ninth uncle likes Nanan the most too. I'm gonna steal you away from your father one of these days." This made Cheeky even more excited. She cheered silently. "Hurry up and do it, ninth uncle." Pleasing him was so much easier than pleasing the tyrant. As the birthday banquet was about to begin, the ninth prince returned to his seat. But the moment he left, Cheeky felt an icy chill from behind her. She turned and nearly wet her pants. The blue robes, the mole under his eye, the sickly pallor. This had to be the gloomy madman from the book, her sixth brother. Without a second thought, she turned to run. This lunatic hated it when people looked him in the eye. But Cheeky's short legs hadn't gotten her 2 steps before the sixth prince picked her up. "This little girl is quite cute, but not very well behaved. Why did you run when you saw your big brother?" Cheeky had no choice but to humble herself and act cute. "Sixth brother, it hurts." "What did you call me? Sixth brother?" Cheeky said, her mind racing. "Oh no, did I get the wrong person?" Just then, the sixth prince let go of her and studied her with deep eyes. This girl used to be too scared to even speak in front of him, and now she dared to call him sixth brother so intimately. "Little pipsqueak, don't call me that again." Cheeky blinked her big eyes at Ye Tingcheng. "Since sixth brother doesn't want me to, I won't." Suddenly, Ye Tingcheng leaned in close to Cheeky. "If you keep staring at me, I'll gouge your eyes out and play with them." Their interaction was noticed by the tyrant, who couldn't help but let out a small laugh. This little kid was such a coward. The tyrant's laugh sent a wave of excitement through the officials below. "It seems His Majesty is in a good mood today." One of them immediately spoke up. "Your Majesty, past emperors have always had 3,000 beauties in their harems. Your harem is currently quite empty. Perhaps we could choose an auspicious day to select some new ladies to fill the palace." Yes, this year is an auspicious year, a good omen, exactly," the other officials chimed in. The tyrant, annoyed, slammed his cup on the table. "Do you all think I'm some kind of animal? One more word, and you'll all be dragged out and given 100 lashes." The officials were instantly so scared they didn't dare to breathe. Cheeky, hearing the tyrant's outburst, peeked over at him, only to meet his gaze. She instinctively ducked her head. The tyrant clicked his tongue. "Am I a ghost? Why is this little kid so scared of one look?" The third princess, noticing the tyrant's attention on Cheeky, stood up. "Father, today is your birthday. I have specially chosen a gift for you." She opened an exquisite wooden box, revealing a golden, dragon-patterned sword. "A fine sword!" the ministers praised. "A truly fine sword!" The tyrant glanced at the sword, his expression neutral. "Changer, you are thoughtful." But the third princess wasn't happy. She felt the tyrant didn't like it at all. He hadn't even touched the sword or offered a single word of genuine praise. Yet he kept looking at that little brat who did nothing but eat. It was all because of her that father was different now. She turned her attention to Cheeky. "I hear seventh sister has also prepared a gift for father. Why don't you show it to us?" Cheeky shot up from her seat. "No, you can't look at it now." But with her short arms and legs, she was no match for the third princess. "Why can't I look? I insist on seeing it now." No, give it back." "What, is seventh sister's gift not fit to be seen?" the third princess sneered. She figured Cheeky, a poor girl with no allowance, couldn't possibly have anything valuable. This was her chance to humiliate her in front of their father and all the ministers. The third princess's eyes were full of triumph. Cheeky clenched her little fists in anger. "I said you can't look. Only Father Daddy can see it." Just as the third princess was about to open the box, a large hand pressed down on it. "Your sister already told you not to touch it. Did you not hear her?" The third princess looked into the tyrant's eyes and felt a chill. "Your daughter—" Before she could finish, the man silenced her with a gesture. He then looked at the little kid. "Can I see it?" Cheeky whispered nervously. "Yes." Hearing the little kid's mosquito-like voice, the tyrant crooked his finger. "Come here and speak." Cheeky scurried over to the tyrant. The man looked down at the little kid who was practically climbing onto his lap and thought, how is she so… when will she ever grow up? Cheeky tugged on the man's sleeve. Father, Daddy, can you be the only one to look, please? She blinked her big eyes, pleading with him, but the man didn't fall for it. His focus was solely on the gift. The next second, he opened the box. Cheeky sighed. Bribing this old guy is not easy. When the tyrant opened the box, he saw a painting. Cheeky nodded shyly. She was broke and couldn't afford anything expensive. Luckily, her drawing skills from her past life were decent. She was about to ask the tyrant to look at it later, but he was too fast and unrolled the scroll in an instant. The man looked at it, then asked the little kid in disbelief, You painted this? Cheeky nodded sincerely. Cheeky is very poor, so I can only give this to Father Daddy. Please don't dislike it. Just as the little kid was feeling anxious, a large hand landed on her head. Cheeky's painting is very good. Father likes it very much. My Cheeky has such talent. Why should it be hidden? Desheng, pass this painting around for the ministers to appreciate. I never knew the 7th princess had such artistic talent at such a young age. And look at the resemblance. She's the spitting image of His Majesty. The ministers were true professionals when it came to flattery. Oh, there are words on the painting? One of them said. May your fortune be as vast as the eastern sea, and your life as long as the southern mountains. What a wonderful poem! I didn't realize the 7th princess could read. As he spoke, he quickly wrote a character on a piece of paper. May I ask the 7th princess, what character is this? Cheeky pointed at the 6th prince and said, Ting, it's my 6th brother's Ting. The 6th prince suddenly called out, looked over at Cheeky, surprised that the little kid could actually read. The minister wrote another character. Does the 7th princess recognize this one? This time, Cheeky hesitated. It was a capital offense to say the emperor's name in the throne room. This old man was setting a trap for her. Cheeky hemmed and hawed, unsure of what to do. Just then, the tyrant reached for the little kid. Cheeky is still young. She doesn't need to know every character. Father will teach you in the future. The old minister felt dizzy. Doesn't His Majesty have a thing about cleanliness? He's never even held the 3rd princess. And now he's holding the 7th princess in front of everyone. It seemed he would have to find another way to help the 3rd princess. He then suggested to the emperor, since the 7th princess is so gifted, perhaps she should start attending the Imperial Academy. I will do my best to teach her. The tyrant asked the little kid in a gentle tone, Cheeky, do you want to go to the Imperial Academy? Cheeky feigned confusion. What's that? It's where a group of people study together and learn many things. The 3rd princess and 6th prince are there, and the 1st prince sometimes teaches a class. Oh, great! 3 of the 5 big bads are at the academy. Cheeky immediately started crying. Cheeky doesn't like it. Cheeky doesn't want to study. The old minister wanted to say more, but the tyrant shot him a harsh glare, then turned back to the little kid with a doting expression. Cheeky, be good. We won't go. The tyrant's blatant double standard made the 6th prince, sitting nearby, smirk. How interesting. After the banquet ended, a heavy snow began to fall. Cheeky watched the snowflakes and asked her personal maid, Sister Awan, that old minister, Chin Taifu, is he close with any of the princes or princesses? I only know that Chin Taifu teaches at the Imperial Academy, and the 3rd princess's mother often asks him about the princess's studies. Cheeky pondered this in the carriage. The 3rd princess's mother, Chin Taifu? Is there a connection between the harem and the court? Suddenly, the carriage lurched violently. Cheeky heard Awan's voice. Greetings, 6th prince. The next second, the carriage curtain was lifted by a pale hand, and the madman, her 6th brother, appeared. 7th sister, could you give me a ride? Cheeky managed a goofy, silly, smiling nod. The 6th prince studied her. She seemed young and timid, but anyone who could survive in the harem was not simple. Cheeky felt a bit awkward, so she took out a handkerchief. 6th brother, wipe the blood. The 6th prince didn't take the handkerchief. Instead, he said playfully, Call me something else. And don't put your hand down. Cheeky rolled her eyes internally. What is wrong with this guy? I can't call him this, I can't call him that. Should I just call him Old 6? She decided to just wipe the blood for him herself, smiling like an innocent fool. Brother, my arm is getting tired. The 6th prince's expression changed instantly. What did you just call me? Cheeky was scared by his look. This madman was even more unpredictable than the tyrant. The 6th prince felt like he was going crazy. Why did Cheeky remind him so much of someone from his past? But how was that possible? She was just a 5-year-old kid. Seeing the 6th prince suddenly curl up, Cheeky thought he was cold and offered him her hand warmer. Brother, Have you called anyone else brother before? Cheeky shook her head. No. She thought, so far I've only met you. Who else would I call brother? Then you are not to call anyone else brother in the future. Also, you have talent. The Imperial Academy will not waste it. This sixth prince was always so calculating. What was his plan in sending her to the academy? Besides, brother wants to study with you. What does Cheeky think? Cheeky said reluctantly, but I don't like to study. Cheeky must be obedient. Only obedient children are loved. Ugh. Under his threats and promises, Cheeky had no choice but to agree. Cheeky, are you very afraid of me? The little kid subconsciously nodded. The sixth prince's face darkened instantly. Cheeky quickly shook her head vigorously. Not afraid at all. That's better. The sixth prince pinched the little kid's cheek. You're so chubby. Cheeky felt wronged but didn't dare to argue. Then I'll go on a diet when I get back. No need for that. Chubby is good. More comfortable to pinch. By the way, how about you draw a portrait for me too, Cheeky? In the dead of winter, a heavy snow fell. Cheeky and Bai were playing in the courtyard. She pumped her short legs. Bai, slow down. Wait for me. Hey, your white fur makes you so hard to see in the snow. Awan rushed out after her. Princess, let's go inside. You'll catch a cold. But Cheeky playfully ran off, making Awan chase her. But as she looked back, she bumped into something. Cheeky looked up. Oh my god. Father Daddy! The little kid's face paled in fear. Are you having fun? Cheeky trembled. Not fun. Not fun at all. The tyrant said sternly, Hold out your hands. She thought he was going to hit her palms. Cheeky knows she was wrong. Don't break my hands. Cheeky is scared. The man knelt and wiped the snow from her hands. What are you thinking about all day? Am I that evil in your eyes? Cheeky said with a pout. Well, it's because you wanted to chop off my head at the beginning. The tyrant smirked. Are you bringing up old scores, you little brat? Blaming me? I was just passing by and thought I'd check on you. It's your nap time. I'm leaving. Remember to practice the characters I taught you. Cheeky waved her little hand. Goodbye, Father Daddy. As soon as he was gone, she tugged on Awan's sleeve. Sister Awan, Cheeky is sleepy. In reality, the little kid had a secret date with her ninth uncle to sneak out of the palace. Before long, the window creaked open. Cheeky, her face full of excitement, whispered, Uncle. The ninth prince put a finger to his lips, and Cheeky immediately covered her mouth. After changing clothes, Yemohan helped Cheeky out the window. Don't be scared, Nanan. Hold on tight to Uncle. Uncle is so cool, you can fly. After a few short flights, they landed outside the palace walls. Wow, Uncle is the best! Uncle is the best! I can't believe that ice block could have such a cute little daughter. If I ever have a daughter, I'll spoil her so much she won't know a thing about the world. Hearing this, Cheeky felt a twinge of sadness. In the original story, the ninth prince never had children and ended up dying a tragic death. Such a good person. If only she could change his fate. Soon they were on a bustling street. Cheeky immediately spotted some candied hawthorns. Uncle, Cheeky wants candied hawthorns. Nanan, don't call me uncle outside, it'll give us away. Cheeky bit her finger, thinking. Then I'll call you maternal uncle. Crack. The ninth prince's heart broke a little. He was hoping to sneakily upgrade his title to daddy, but oh well. Uncle it is. Uncle, candied hawthorns. The next second, her uncle waved a hand, and a guard dropped down from a rooftop and bought out the entire stall. Cheeky quickly waved her hands. No, just 2 sticks. Her uncle was confused. Why only 2? If you like them, we should buy them all. 1 for Father Daddy and 1 for Bai is enough. Father Daddy said too many sweets are bad for a kid's teeth. As she spoke, Cheeky suddenly saw a familiar figure on the 2nd floor of a nearby building. It looked like her 6th brother. Who was the man in the iron mask standing across from him? Nanan, what are you looking at? Her uncle waved a hand in front of her face. When Cheeky looked again, they were gone. Did you see something you like in this restaurant, Nanan? Their spring banquet is famous. Let's go try it. Okay. A moment later, Cheeky was cheering at the dining table. Hug the right thigh and you'll never go hungry. But after only a few bites, an urgent matter came up at her uncle's estate, and he had to leave. Nanan, I'll have a guard take you back later, okay? Cheeky nodded obediently. Then she frantically dug around in her clothes. Uncle, wait! This letter, I was going to give it to Father Daddy with his birthday gift, but I hadn't practiced a lot of the characters yet, so Nanan is too shy to give it to Father Daddy herself and wants me to deliver it? Don't worry, Nanan, Uncle will complete this mission. This was actually Cheeky's insurance policy. If things ever went south in the palace, this letter might just save her life. Just as the 9th prince left, a voice came from behind Cheeky. The 6th prince lifted the door curtain and appeared before her. Nanan, what a cute name. He waved a hand at the guards. You all can leave. I will take the 7th sister back to the palace later. Cheeky watched as the 6th prince walked closer and closer, her nerves fraying. His thin red lips curved into a dark smile. Why is Cheeky so scared? Is brother that scary? Or did Cheeky see something she shouldn't have and that's why she's so afraid? Cheeky was backed into a corner against the railing. No, Cheeky didn't see anything. Her little face turned pale. This madman wasn't going to silence her by pushing her off the balcony, was he? Terrified, she grabbed onto the corner of his robe, tears welling in her eyes. "Brother, Cheeky is scared. Don't scare me." Then she burst into tears, wailing, "Brother is going to push me. Brother is going to kill me. I said I didn't see anything. I don't want to die." The sixth prince, seeing a crowd gathering below, was too embarrassed to continue. He immediately pulled Cheeky back inside. Cheeky's tactic of fighting fire with fire left him at a loss. He looked at the still sobbing little kid. No matter how he looked at her, she was just a 5.5-year-old girl. But for some reason, he felt she was not as simple as she seemed. She had clearly seen him, but she played the victim so perfectly that he didn't know how to handle her. "You still dare to eat? Aren't you afraid I poisoned the food when you weren't looking?" Cheeky looked at the table full of delicious food. "Poison? You old six would poison this? Then all this food would go to waste. My God, who's the real villain here? You don't care if you die, but you're sad about this table of food?" Cheeky calmly tore off another chicken leg, thinking that since all her brothers were vicious, it didn't matter if she died sooner or later. The sixth prince saw the little kid was still eating. "You trust me that much not to harm you?" Cheeky paused. She was just sad about the food. A strange mix of emotions swirled within the sixth prince. He said impatiently, "Little Pipsqueak, stop eating!" Without waiting for a response, he picked her up. "It's getting late. I'll send you back to the palace." He leapt down from the second floor. "My carriage will take you back. Remember, no matter what you saw, don't mention it to anyone when you get back." A short while later, Cheeky skipped back to her courtyard, wondering if the tyrant would like candied hawthorns. But after walking for a while, she didn't see anyone. "Sister Awan, where is everyone?" Cheeky called out tentatively. "Sister Awan, bye? Come in." A cold voice came from inside. Cheeky went in and immediately had a bad feeling. The maids and eunuchs were all kneeling on the floor, trembling. The atmosphere was terrifyingly grim. "Where were you?" "I went out of the palace." The man exploded. "Who gave you permission to leave the palace?" Cheeky trembled. "No one. I went by myself." The tyrant scoffed, looking at the little kid coldly. "Who did you go with?" Cheeky, afraid of getting her ninth uncle in trouble, gritted her teeth and lied. "No one. I went by myself." The tyrant stood up from his chair and walked over to Cheeky. "No one?" He grabbed the little kid's chin in anger. "You've learned to lie to me at such a young age. Do you think the Imperial Guards are idiots? Do you really think I don't know who you left the palace with?" He shoved the little kid to the ground. "Do you know how dangerous it is outside the palace? You just go with whoever asks you to. Who is your father, anyway?" Cheeky fell hard, and the beloved candied hawthorns fell out of her clothes. Heartbroken, she quickly picked them up. The tyrant sneered. "I thought he might have bought you something nice. Turns out it's just this cheap junk." Cheeky's eyes instantly turned red. "It's not! It's my favorite! It's not cheap junk!" But the furiously jealous tyrant misinterpreted her favorite as referring to Yemohan, and he completely lost it. "Just 2 sticks of junk and he's won you over completely? And it's your favorite? Am I your daddy or is Yemohan?" With that, he slammed the candied hawthorns onto the ground. Splat. Cheeky's heart shattered along with them, and tears streamed down her face. "You're mean. I hate you. Why won't you listen to me? Why did you smash my things?" The tyrant's voice was icy. "Good. I never expected you to like me anyway. Guards, take everyone in the 7th princess's household and give them 20 lashes each." Cheeky panicked. "It's not their fault. I'm the one who snuck out. It has nothing to do with them. Please spare them." The tyrant was unmoved by her pleas. He left in a rage, not giving the little kid another glance. Cheeky stared at the smashed candied hawthorns, feeling utterly heartbroken. "Big meanie, I'm never talking to you again." 3 days later, in the imperial study, old Zhao was fidgeting, looking like he wanted to say something. "If you have something to say, say it. Stop stammering. The 9th prince has been waiting outside for an hour. Does your majesty wish to see him?" "But he said no, tell him to get lost." Old Zhao turned pale. "9th prince, you heard him. His majesty wants you to go back." Yemohan couldn't help but laugh. He handed a letter to old Zhao. "This is what Nanan asked me to deliver. My imperial brother can take a look." Then he deliberately raised his voice. "By the way, I remember my imperial brother doesn't like sweets, does he? That little girl specially bought candied hawthorns for him. Did my imperial brother eat them?" Old Zhao asked. "9th prince, are you saying the candied hawthorns were for his majesty?" "Who else? I originally thought my imperial brother was a cold man and their father-daughter relationship was so-so, but it turns out that little girl is quite thoughtful. I tried to get her to call me daddy for fun, and she refused. Some people just don't know how good they have it." Inside the study, the tyrant's heart skipped a beat. Old Zhao watched Yemohan leave, not noticing the tyrant had already walked to the door. He turned around and jumped. My God, Your Majesty, you scared me! The tyrant's eyes were fixed on the letter. Old Zhao quickly presented it with both hands. The man held the letter for a long time before finally deciding to read it. Father Daddy, it's cheeky. The first time I met you, I was very scared because you wanted to chop off my head. I promised to try my best to grow up pretty and not disappoint you. Even though you're very fierce sometimes, I know you don't really mean it and wouldn't actually kill me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have swooped in to save me when I was in danger. Father Daddy is the greatest daddy in the world, my big hero, and you've given me the fatherly love I never had before. Also, for your birthday, I was really poor and couldn't buy an expensive gift, so I could only draw you a picture. But you didn't mind at all. I was so happy. I have a daddy who loves me. I'm not an unwanted child anymore. Father Daddy, I love candied hawthorns the most, but they don't have them in the palace. Ninth uncle was able to sneak me out to buy some. I really love them, so I really wanted you to try them too. Each word was like a knife in his heart. He finally understood. The little kid's favorite was the candied hawthorns. The man, the tyrant, was overcome with regret. But his sedan chair broke down halfway, and it was sleeting. Old Zhao was frantic, afraid the tyrant would lose his temper, and immediately ordered a new one. But by the time the new chair arrived, the tyrant was gone. Oh heavens, Your Majesty, my Majesty! Meanwhile, Awan had just put Cheeky to bed and was about to go to sleep herself, when she looked up and saw the tyrant. Oh my God, Awan's soul nearly left her body. Your Majesty! The tyrant walked straight past her, pushed open the door, and saw the little girl sleeping soundly on the bed. Bai, sensing him, was about to let out a little "awoo," but was silenced by the tyrant's shh gesture. He stared at the little kid's face for a long time, finally unable to resist gently touching her cheek. The little kid whimpered in her sleep. The tyrant quickly pulled his hand back, feeling a bit guilty and nervous. What if she woke up? She was probably still angry. Was he really going to have to apologize to this little kid? He decided to just tuck her in and leave. But just then a clap of thunder rattled the sky outside, and the sleeping Cheeky was jolted awake. Sister Awan, hold me, Cheeky is scared. The groggy little kid reached out for a hug, but as she fumbled around, she said, Sister Awan, why is your waist so thick? Sister Awan, why aren't you saying anything? Cheeky rubbed her eyes and looked up, only to realize it was her tyrant daddy. All her grievances came rushing back. He just smashed my candied hawthorns a few days ago. Is he here to smash something else? The tyrant looked at the pouting little kid. You don't even greet me when you see me now? Cheeky mumbled reluctantly. Father? Then she pulled up her little blanket. Cheeky is going to sleep now. The subtext was, you old fossil, it's time for you to leave. But just as the tyrant took a step, another clap of thunder echoed. Cheeky instinctively grabbed the man's sleeve. Father, Daddy! Don't go, it's thundering again. Cheeky is scared. The man turned back and awkwardly patted the little kid's head. There, don't be afraid. Father Daddy, I'm scared of the thunder and I'm scared of you smashing my candied hawthorns. They were a present for you. A wave of deep regret washed over the tyrant. He cast aside his imperial dignity and pulled the little kid into his arms. Cheeky, Daddy was wrong. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have smashed the candied hawthorns you gave me. Can you forgive Daddy? Cheeky was stunned. Was the tyrant apologizing? She pinched her own cheek in disbelief. It hurt a little. It wasn't a dream. Then she pushed at the man's arm. Father, Daddy, you're squishing me. The tyrant awkwardly loosened his grip. Well, you should go back to sleep. Daddy will just... Before the man could finish, Cheeky threw her arms around his neck, planted a big mwah on his cheek and beamed. Then Cheeky forgives Father Daddy. But the tyrant didn't react. Cheeky's expression immediately changed. Did she make him mad again? But the next second, the tyrant gently touched her forehead, his eyes full of deep affection. Go to sleep. Daddy will stay with you. The morning after the tyrant apologized to the little kid, he sent over countless treasures of gold and silver. The once destitute little kid became the richest child in the palace overnight. Sister Awan, Cheeky is not poor anymore. After the excitement wore off, the little kid thought of her old father. Father Daddy came in the rain last night, right? I wonder if he got sick. With that, she ran outside excitedly. Let's go see Father Daddy! But while some were happy, others were not. News of the tyrant's gifts to Cheeky soon reached the third princess. She angrily smashed her teacup on the floor. That wretched little brat! She must have used some trick to fool Father. I have to teach her a lesson. At that moment, Cheeky was on her way to see the tyrant, unaware of the danger ahead. Seventh sister, what a coincidence. Cheeky looked up and saw the third princess, Ye Yun Chang, sitting in a pavilion. As etiquette required, she had no choice but to go and bow. Greetings, Imperial Sister. It's only been a few days, and Seventh Sister has gotten rounder. It seems sucking up to Father comes with good food and drink. Cheeky watched the third princess advance on her and clenched her fists. She would not be bullied a second time. This was not a good place to stay. Mustering her courage, she said, "Third Imperial Sister, Cheeky has something to do, so I'll be leaving now." But the third princess grabbed Cheeky's arm. "Leaving? I was kind enough to have you stay, and you dare to disrespect me?" With that, she shoved Cheeky hard. "You play the pitiful victim in front of Father, practically gluing yourself to him, but you can't wait to run away from me." Awan rushed to help Cheeky up. But before she could reach her, she was grabbed by two of the third princess's maids. Awan couldn't help but speak up. "Third princess, no matter what, the seventh princess is still His Majesty's child. Aren't you afraid of his anger if you do this?" Awan had barely finished speaking when one of the third princess's maids slapped her. "When our princess speaks, does a lowly servant like you have the right to interrupt?" Seeing Awan get hit, Cheeky finally snapped. "And what are you?" "Nothing but a bully's dog. Who gave you permission to hit Sister Awan?" Cheeky threw all her weight into the maid, then stood in front of Awan with her small body, fiercely protective. It was clear that Old Three was looking for a fight today. Instead of enduring it, she might as well fight back and show her she wasn't a helpless pushover. "You can't even handle a little girl? All of you, hold her down for me!" Instantly, the nearby eunuchs and maids joined in. Unsurprisingly, Cheeky was pinned to the ground. Old Three crouched in front of Cheeky with a mocking smile. "Let's see what you can do now." Cheeky couldn't take it anymore and bit down hard on Old Three's arm. The third princess screamed in pain. The eunuch holding Cheeky down was startled and rushed to check on the princess. Freed from her restraints, Cheeky shakily got to her feet. "I'll teach you to be arrogant and cruel. Today, I'm going to teach you a lesson on Father's behalf." With that, Cheeky lunged at Old Three. "Don't you come near me!" But Cheeky grabbed her, looking fierce, and then headbutted her hard. It was a move that would hurt her just as much, but the effect was impressive. "Let's have a kid fight." The third princess, who had been pampered her whole life, had never felt such pain. She immediately burst into tears. Cheeky felt a bit awkward. She had actually made a kid cry. "So you cry when you can't win? Go wipe your nose and come back when you've had more practice." "You brat, what did you say? I'll take you down with me today." "What is all this noise?" a familiar male voice called out. The tyrant looked at the two grimy little girls, his eyes turning cold. Old Three saw him as her savior. "Wah! Father, you have to stand up for me. Cheeky hit me." The tyrant, seeing the dirty child, looked disgusted. "Stay away from me, you're filthy." Old Three was so scared she stopped crying, remembering her father's obsession with cleanliness. The man then picked up the little kid. "What happened? Just a normal fight. You call this a normal fight when you both look like this?" He put the little kid down and pointed at Old Three. "You are confined for 1 month. If this happens again, you will go to G Province to reflect." Then he turned to the little kid. "You, come with me." Cheeky trotted happily after the tyrant. Left behind, Old Three's eyes filled with tears. "Why won't Father believe me?" "Useless fools! Get lost!" She took out her anger on the maid who tried to help her up. "I was wondering who was making such a racket and disturbing my sleep. Turns out it's third sister scolding her maids." Old Three's face paled in fear. "Second brother?" Meanwhile, on the other side, Cheeky was struggling to keep up with the man on her short legs. "Father, Daddy, slow down, wait for Cheeky, I can't keep up." "Weren't you quite capable when you were fighting just now? Cheeky won't fight anymore." Just as the little kid finished speaking, the tyrant picked her up. "Oh, but Cheeky is dirty." "You know you're dirty? Tell me, why were you fighting?" Cheeky thought, this tyrant is always suspicious. This is a good chance to drop a hint. She said pitifully, "It might be because of what happened on your birthday. Father let me study at the Imperial Academy. Third sister was the only royal daughter allowed before, and now I have that honor too, so of course she's not happy. She has never been good with academics. I wasn't going to let her continue, but Chin Taifu praised her highly. Third sister is the Empress's daughter, so of course Chin Taifu pays her special attention." The tyrant fell into thought. "But with Father Daddy backing me up, third sister wouldn't dare to do anything to me." "Oh, so you're getting bold now?" "No, I'm not. Third sister started it, that's why I hit her. I didn't even cry, but she cried so much her nose was running. How embarrassing." After news of the fight spread, Cheeky became like the palace bully. All the maids and eunuchs were afraid of her, but Cheeky had no idea what had happened. "Sister Awan, why do they all run when they see me?" Last night, head eunuch Zhao gave all of Third Princess's servants involved in the fight a beating, saying it was His Majesty's order, so now they're all scared. Although the tyrant was trying to protect her, this made her a target for everyone. Oh well, she'd take it one step at a time. "Sister Awan, let's go catch butterflies." Just then, an old minister blocked her path. "Seventh Princess, what a coincidence." "Oh crap, isn't that Chin Taifu?" Without a second thought, Cheeky grabbed Awan's arm and ran. Chin Taifu hurried after her. "Seventh Princess, why do you run when you see me? Don't you remember me?" How could I forget? I just tattled on you yesterday. She feigned ignorance. Mister, I've never seen you before. It's all right if you don't remember. I came today specifically to invite the 7th princess to attend the Imperial Academy. Thank you for your kind offer, old mister, but I don't know you, so goodbye. With that, Cheeky pumped her little legs and scampered away. But to her surprise, the old man, despite his age, was relentless in his pursuit. 7th princess, wait for me. I can give you a puppy as an enrollment gift, and candied hawthorns. Cheeky ignored him and hid behind a rockery. This old man was so persistent. As she peeked out, a hand reached out from the side and pulled her in. It was her 6th brother. He covered her mouth. Be quiet. At that moment, his face was pale and he looked very weak. Soon, Chin Taifu also arrived at the rockery, out of breath. I can't believe how fast her short legs can move. The 6th brother hid Cheeky until Chin Taifu was gone, then asked, Little girl, why was he chasing you? He wants me to go to the Imperial Academy, but I don't want to get involved in the drama. The academy may look like a school, but it's really a battleground for the powerful. The 6th brother looked at Cheeky in surprise. He didn't expect her to understand these things. It seemed she was not as simple as she appeared. He suddenly coughed painfully. Brother, are you hurt? It's none of your business. Stay out of it. The 6th brother's harsh words made Cheeky pull her hand back. He was right, she shouldn't meddle or speak her mind. But for some reason, she felt that he was a lot like her, both with secrets they couldn't share. Cheeky, you should go to the Imperial Academy, the 6th brother said suddenly, his tone serious. You were born into the Imperial family, so you're destined to be part of the fight. If you keep hiding, you'll only end up dead. As for your safety at the academy, you can leave that to me. I'll protect you. For some reason, Cheeky found him surprisingly reliable. At least she would be safe with him. The next morning, the tyrant went to Cheeky's courtyard. Cheeky excitedly ran to greet him. But to her surprise, Chin Taifu came running too. Cheeky looked at him with a blank expression. Old mister, why are you here again? Ada, I told you I'd bring you an enrollment gift. What do you think? Isn't it cute? I heard the 7th princess likes animals and has a big white cat. This little puppy can keep it company. As soon as Chin Taifu said white cat, Bai let out a loud, a woo, and shot in from outside, landing in front of Chin Taifu with a magnificent tiger pounce as if to say, you looking for me? That's a tiger? Chin Taifu's eyes rolled back in his head and he fainted. Cheeky was speechless. Well, yeah, Bai has always been a big tiger. Desheng, take Chin Taifu to the imperial physician, the tyrant said. Then Cheeky hugged his leg. Father Daddy, Cheeky has decided to go to the Imperial Academy. I don't want to be a foolish princess and bring shame to you. The man smiled. When did my Cheeky learn to say such sweet things? You can go, but first Daddy wants to take you somewhere. A short while later, on a long street outside the palace, Cheeky stepped out of the carriage, her eyes sparkling. Father Daddy, we're out of the palace. Are you happy? The tyrant said, proudly holding out his hand to her. If Cheeky likes it, I can take you out often. You don't have to ask that guy. Hearing this, Cheeky understood. The tyrant was jealous of her 9th uncle. She nodded obediently. Cheeky will remember. Then tell Daddy, what did that Yemohan guy buy for you? Cheeky happily pointed at the candied hawthorns. This, the tyrant said smugly. Disheng, buy them all. Old Zhao immediately tossed a gold ingot to the stall owner. Then Cheeky saw some sugar paintings and her eyes lit up again. The man waved his hand. All of them! Yay, Daddy, I want to buy out everything! The shops were quickly sold out and closed for the day. The little kid instantly became the coolest kid on the block. Is Daddy good to you? Much better than that guy, right? Daddy is the best to Cheeky. Cheeky wants to be good to Daddy too. She pointed to the restaurant where she had eaten with her 9th uncle. Cheeky will treat Daddy to a full fish banquet. But just then, a carriage slowly pulled up behind them. The tyrant instinctively pulled her behind him. Who is it? Yemohan lifted the curtain. Nanan, uncle! The tyrant's face immediately darkened. Cheeky, on the other hand, ran over excitedly. Uncle! Uncle! Yemohan smiled slyly at the tyrant. Big brother, what a coincidence. You're here too. The man looked at Yemohan's smug face, clearly displeased. Not a coincidence at all. He then possessively ruffled the little kid's hair. Yemohan ignored him and looked at the giant stick of candied hawthorns. Big brother, are you planning to open a shop? I'm buying them for my daughter. Do you have a problem with that? This daddy is not as stingy with Cheeky as some people. Cheeky nodded helplessly. If these two kept talking, they were going to start a fight. Luckily, the tyrant said he wanted to go eat. Cheeky immediately agreed, but no one asked Yemohan. However, he shamelessly followed them inside anyway. Cheeky looked at her daddy on the left and her uncle on the right, feeling incredibly awkward in the middle. Neither of them was speaking. Suddenly, bang! The tyrant slammed his hand on the table. What are you following us for? Imperial brother, let's eat together. I'm hungry too. He then put some food in Cheeky's bowl. Our Cheeky, eat up. You're still growing, you can't go hungry. Who's our? The Tyrant, not to be outdone, put an even bigger piece of meat in Cheeky's bowl. Yay! Cheeky cheered silently. She could finally eat. But the next second, the real battle began. They went back and forth, and in just 47 seconds, the food in Cheeky's bowl had piled up into a small mountain. Mother, Daddy, Uncle, Cheeky really can't eat this much. But for the first time, the two brothers said in perfect unison, "You must." Half a month later, it was Cheeky's first day at the Imperial Academy. The little girl was yawning, her hair in little braids, as Awan dazedly slung a small school bag over her shoulder. "Princess, this way." Chin Taifu was afraid you wouldn't know the way, so he asked a prince to guide you. Cheeky was still wondering which big bad would be picking her up when she turned a corner and ran right into him. Her sixth brother was leaning against a wall, looking so clean and harmless in the sunlight. If it weren't for the palace struggles, he would have been a bright and cheerful young man. Cheeky quickly rummaged through her school bag, wanting to capture this beautiful moment forever. A moment later, she was admiring her work. But the next second, the drawing was snatched from her hands. The sixth brother smiled. "No wonder Chin Taifu chased you all over. Our Cheeky is indeed very talented. I'll keep this." He then tucked the drawing into his robes. "You meanie, stealing from a kid. I'm going to tell Father Daddy to beat you up." Speaking of beating me up, I heard you got into a fight with Ye Yunchang a while ago. I'm a kid. It's normal for kids to fight, right? Besides, she started it, so I... And after the fight, you subtly hinted to Father about the private dealings between Ye Yunchang's mother and Chin Taifu. Was that also your intention, you little pipsqueak? Cheeky panicked. How did he know? Although he didn't have any concrete evidence, she felt like he had her completely figured out. You clever little thing, you think you're so smart? But in this deep palace, there are countless eyes watching. Otherwise, how do you think the fourth and fifth princes died? If you encounter a similar situation again, would you do the same thing? Cheeky clenched her fists, and after a moment of hesitation, she seemed to muster all her courage. I want to live. Well said. You've got guts, little girl. We're already in a quagmire. Who can escape untainted? No one who survives in this palace is simple. Hurting others to protect yourself is not a sin. But next time, be more discreet. Don't let anyone find out. Cheeky then realized that her sixth brother wasn't being malicious. He was teaching her how to survive. Perhaps in this treacherous palace, it wasn't so bad to have someone she could trust. With that, she trotted after him on her short legs. Besides the princes, this place also accepts the children of meritorious officials. But there are also those who rely on their parents' achievements and are just here to fool around. You need to stick close to me. As soon as he finished speaking, Cheeky bumped her head. The son of the Minister of Rights, He Jing, said unhappily, "Whose kid is running around? Don't you know how to apologize when you bump into someone?" Cheeky quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, I'm here to study." Her words were met with laughter. "This little doll isn't even as tall as my waist, and she says she's here to study? Even nobles and royalty have to fight to get into this place." Cheeky was speechless. Who was this brainless rich kid? "Hey!" He Jing poked Cheeky. "You're a cute little thing. Call me Big Brother." The next second, the back of Cheeky's collar was grabbed, and she was lifted into her sixth brother's arms. "You want her to call you brother? You think you're worthy?" He Jing, seeing it was the madman's sixth prince, quickly bowed and apologized. "I was blind. I didn't know this little doll was with you. Please forgive my rudeness." "Get lost!" He Jing scrambled away. Then, the sixth brother placed Cheeky in the seat next to him. "You sit here and don't move." Before long, Chin Taifu began his lecture. The class was so boring, he wondered if the little kid could even understand. He glanced over and saw Cheeky drooling in her sleep, occasionally hugging him and mumbling, "Brother, brother." This little girl was so clingy in her sleep. What was he going to do with her? But she was also kind of cute. Beside him, Chin Taifu was getting more and more passionate. Hearing his increasingly loud voice, the sixth brother was afraid he would wake up his little darling. He turned and snapped, "Quiet!" Chin Taifu was dumbfounded. "Quiet? You want me to be quiet during class?" An unknown amount of time later, Cheeky woke up. She mumbled to herself, "How did I fall asleep? I've never seen anyone sleep so soundly in class before." Hearing the sixth brother's voice, Cheeky was startled. Why couldn't she shake this habit of sleeping in class even after transmigrating? And she had drooled all over the desk. "Sixth brother, I didn't mean to. I was just so sleepy, I just closed my eyes for a second. You sure know how to take a nap. You napped right through to the end of class." Cheeky looked around in surprise. The room was indeed empty. If it weren't for the Empress's procession returning to the palace today, and the roads being temporarily closed, I wouldn't have cared about a little pig like you. Hearing this, Cheeky hung her head. The Empress Wrong was the third princess's mother, After being apart for so long, she must have missed her very much. Of course, I heard Empress Rong went to see Ye Yunchang as soon as she returned. What? Are you scared? How could she not be? With her mother's backing, Ye Yunchang would definitely tattle on her. The next few days won't be easy for you. Be careful, Cheeky sighed. I know. Meanwhile, on the other side, the third princess was indeed complaining to Empress Rong. Mother, you have no idea how much I've suffered. I was bullied. Empress Rong's eyes filled with pity. Who would be so bold as to bully you? It was that little brat Ye Cheeky, born of that consort in the cold palace. I don't know what kind of tricks she used to win father's favor, but she even secretly learned how to paint. And because she's favored, she dared to hit me. But father wouldn't listen to me and even punished me with a month of confinement. How dare she? She hit you. This is unacceptable. My poor baby, you've suffered. Mother will make it right for you. On the other side, Cheeky sneezed loudly. Sixth brother, I think someone is talking bad about me. As soon as she finished speaking, a laugh came from behind them. A man in white with a folding fan and fox-like eyes. Cheeky's pupils contracted and she tensed up. This is the second prince, Yaodian. It's over. In the original story, this guy loved to collect people's eyeballs. Cheeky hid behind her sixth brother in fear. I was lucky enough to witness seventh sister's heroic performance when she fought with third sister. Why are you so timid today? Cheeky was already scared and now she was just stunned. I get into one fight and the whole world knows about it? I must say, seventh sister's eyes are very bright. The sixth brother immediately stepped in front of Cheeky. You praise her too much, Imperial brother. Cheeky is still young. She can't tell beauty from ugliness. I didn't expect our reclusive sixth brother to be playing with this little dumpling. It seems third sister was right. She is an interesting child. Cheeky's sense of dread grew. This third princess was really trying to get her killed. Ye Aotian knelt, smiling. Cheeky, come give your imperial brother a hug. His voice was so gentle, but to Cheeky it was terrifying. He was praising her looks and wanted a hug. He was definitely after her eyeballs. The second prince held out his arms for a full 27 seconds, but Cheeky didn't move an inch. He was starting to get annoyed. What? Are you afraid I'll sell you off to the countryside? Seeing Ye Aotian's displeasure, Cheeky had no choice but to take a heavy step forward with her short legs. But the next second, she was pulled back by her sixth brother. Please forgive her, second imperial brother. She's shy around strangers. The second prince chuckled. It's just a hug. It's not like she'll lose a piece of flesh. But second brother, men and women should not touch so freely. This made both Cheeky and the second prince awkward. The sixth brother's logic was a bit strange. The second prince retorted, Are you not a man? Hey, I'm still young and pure. It's okay for children to hold hands. I never thought our reclusive sixth brother would play the hero saving the damsel in distress. You praise me too much, imperial brother. Very well. The second prince turned and waved. I'd like to see how long you can protect her. Watching Ye Aotian's retreating back, Cheeky asked sincerely, Is second brother the type to hold a grudge? Of course, then what should I do? The sixth brother didn't answer immediately. Instead, he took the small school bag from Cheeky and slung it over his own shoulder. Avoid him if you can. If you can't, fight back. Fight back? Just the two of us? Don't worry, I will protect Cheeky. That day after class, Cheeky planned to go see the Tyrant to curry some favor. She couldn't let the thigh she'd worked so hard to hug get away. But as she reached the Imperial study, she heard the Tyrant's furious roars from inside. She was about to sneak away to avoid his wrath, when a teacup suddenly shattered on the ground. Cheeky screamed in fright. Hearing someone outside, the Tyrant bellowed, Who is out there? Get in here! Cheeky poked her head in sheepishly. Hey, father daddy. Instantly, the Tyrant's anger vanished. He softened his voice. Cheeky, what are you doing here? A dozen ministers were kneeling in the study, and the floor was littered with broken porcelain. Cheeky's face paled. She really shouldn't have come. Father daddy, Cheeky brought you something to eat. Seeing the little pipsqueak had nowhere to step, the Tyrant immediately held up a hand. Don't move! He walked over to Cheeky and picked her up. Then he turned to the ministers and snapped, What are you all staring at? Clean this up. The ministers scrambled to their feet, their movements practiced and swift. Soon the room was spotless. After the ministers had left, the Tyrant asked gently, Cheeky, what did you bring for Daddy? It's your favorite pineapple cakes. But I just learned how to make them, so please don't mind if they're not perfect. The Tyrant smiled, picked one up, and was about to take a bite when old Zhao quickly spoke up. Your Majesty, allow the servant to... No need. The Tyrant cut him off and took a bite. Cheeky watched him with anticipation. It's delicious. My Cheeky is so talented. Really? Cheeky rolled up her sleeves, eager to try one herself. But just then, the man noticed small cuts on her hand. How did you hurt your hand? Cheeky pulled her hand back. I just slipped while cutting the pineapple. The tyrant immediately became furious. Are the servants in your palace tired of living? They let you handle a knife. Guards, take all of the 7th princess's servants and give them 20 lashes. Daddy, no, it has nothing to do with them. I wanted to make something for you with my own hands. You're a wise ruler, you can't punish the innocent. Hearing this, the tyrant was slightly taken aback. Who had taught the little pipsqueak to say such things? But since you've spoken up, we'll let it go this time. But you are not to handle knives yourself again. Cheeky quickly nodded, relieved. She had only meant for it to be a small act to gain sympathy, but she had almost gotten others in trouble. Then, the man asked about her schoolwork. How are your studies at the Imperial Academy? Cheeky's heart pounded. They're going great. So what has the Grand Tutor taught you? Cheeky's smile froze. What did he teach? I'd like to know too. She started spouting nonsense. We learned the 3-character classic, and I can even recite it. Father, Daddy, aren't I so smart? She then planted a kiss on his cheek, trying to use her cuteness to cover her embarrassment. The man couldn't help but laugh. If you can't keep up with the classes at the academy, Daddy can give you private lessons. But don't lie next time, understand? The Imperial Academy doesn't teach basics like the 3-character classic. They focus on poetry and essays. It's normal for you not to understand. Cheeky felt like she'd just been insulted. Just then, the man took a brush from the brush holder and handed it to her. Cheeky's big eyes were full of questions. My hand is too small, this brush is too big, I know you can't use it. He then leaned down and whispered in her ear. It wasn't until evening that Cheeky left the Imperial study. But as she stepped out, a sharp voice called out, "What are you doing here?" Cheeky looked up and saw a lavishly dressed woman. And next to her was Ye Yunchang, who was glaring at Cheeky as if she wanted to eat her. What are you hiding? Did you steal something? Cheeky quickly hid her hands in the box behind her back, then secretly stuffed the brush into the food box. Old 3 noticed Cheeky's furtive movements and immediately tried to grab her arm. After a struggle, the food box was knocked over and the brush rolled out. Aha, yeah, Cheeky, you've got some nerve. You dare to steal Father's brush. Just then, the tyrant, hearing the commotion, came out. Old 3 immediately pointed at the brush and tattled, Father, look, she stole your things. She then looked at Cheeky smugly. You little brat, just wait until Father has you beaten to death. Didn't I confine you for a month? Who let you out? At that moment, Empress Rong spoke up. It was I who released Chang'er from her confinement. She has already learned her lesson. The man sneered, Since when can the Empress defy my orders? Old 3, seeing the tense atmosphere, immediately hugged his leg. Father, it was Chang'er who wanted to see you. I know I was wrong. The man pushed her away. You know you're wrong? You haven't learned anything over the years except how to bully the weak. You're becoming less and less likable as you grow up. Besides, I gave that brush to Cheeky. How did it become stolen when it came out of your mouth? Hearing this, Old 3 was in disbelief. You gave it to her? She was so hurt she felt like crying. Why? She had asked the tyrant for that brush so many times and never gotten it. But with the tyrant present, she could only grit her teeth and walk over to Cheeky. 7th sister, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have accused you. Hearing this, Cheeky was stunned. The arrogant 3rd princess was actually apologizing? But then she realized Old 3 must have some ulterior motive. So she played along, turning to the tyrant and saying sweetly, Father, Daddy, don't be angry with Imperial Sister. She already knows she was wrong. Old 3 continued, Imperial Sister is very generous. It's getting late. Let me take you back to your palace. Besides, my mother hasn't seen Father in a long time. We should give them some space. But once they were in the carriage, Old 3 showed her true colors. Cheeky, can I ask you a question? She pinched her cheek. What kind of tricks did you use to bewitch Father? Why did he just give you that brush? Cheeky's cheek hurt. Imperial Sister, you can have the brush, just please don't pinch me. Who do you think you are? I don't want anything from you. With that, she threw the brush out of the carriage. Cheeky shouted in panic, Stop the carriage! Old 3 laughed triumphantly. Does it hurt? Come on, bite me. I suggest you get out of the carriage and pick it up right now. You dare to order me around? I'm just giving you a suggestion. After all, this brush wasn't for me. What do you mean it wasn't for you? Cheeky ignored her and got out of the carriage to search for the brush. But Old 3 kept pestering her from behind. Father entrusted this brush to me to give to you. He wanted us to get along. He said he didn't give it to you before because you were too young, but now you're old enough to use it. Old 3's mind was buzzing. For her? She couldn't believe what Cheeky was saying. Cheeky could see it now. Old 3 wasn't really a bad person, just a spoiled little princess. She remembered what the tyrant had told her. He said that Old 3 was so spoiled largely because of him, because he wasn't a good father. But after meeting Cheeky, he wanted to learn to be one. The next day, Cheeky woke up early and went to her 6th brother's Changhua palace. Guard, I'm here to see my 6th brother. 7th princess, please come in. The sixth prince has instructed that you may enter freely. Chiki entered the courtyard. She had come to see her sixth brother today to discuss how to deal with the Empress, the main villain. But the farther she walked, the creepier it got. There wasn't a living soul in sight. Suddenly, she heard urgent footsteps approaching. Chiki turned and saw a tall man in a black robe behind her. It was the same masked man she had seen outside the palace with her sixth brother. "Who let you in?" The masked man leaned down, and the air was thick with the smell of blood. Chiki felt a chill run down her spine. In the original story, the sixth prince, the tyrant, and the second prince were all killed by the male lead. Could this masked man be the male lead's spy in the palace? Was he going to silence her now? "She's just a little kid. Why are you scaring her?" The sixth prince walked over to Chiki, a gentle smile on his face. "You may leave." "Yes, master?" The masked man bowed respectfully. Chiki watched the masked man's retreating back, her heart still pounding. But according to the timeline, the male lead, Yan Cheng, hadn't appeared yet. Since she had transmigrated, could she do something to change the fate of the tyrant and the others? If Yan Cheng never appeared, would they be able to live? "What, are you scared stiff? Still holding on so tight?" The sixth brother's low voice rumbled in the little pipsqueak's ear. "Heh." Chiki snapped back to reality, rubbing her hands together awkwardly. The sixth brother sat down on the corridor. "So why did you come looking for me so early?" "Yesterday I asked father about that rich kid at the Imperial Academy. He's the second son of the Vice Minister of Rights." "You mean the Ministry of Rights is not part of the Empress's faction?" "You're very smart. The Ministry of Rights has no real power, but it has money. If the Empress really wanted to win them over, all three of the Vice Minister's sons would be in the Imperial Academy, not just the shallow and arrogant second son. Sixth brother is also very smart. If you could become the crown prince in the future, maybe—" The sixth brother immediately cut her off. "Who taught you to say such things?" Chiki quickly covered her mouth. "I misspoke." Before she could finish, the strap of her small school bag suddenly snapped and a booklet fell out. The sixth brother picked it up. "What's this?" Chiki reached for it, but it was too late. The sixth brother had already opened it. Chiki thought, "It's over. My masterpiece is about to be exposed." The first page showed her whipping her sixth brother's waist. The second showed her kicking the tyrant's leg with her short legs. The third showed Chiki punching Old Three's face with her little fists. After looking at it, the sixth brother smiled wickedly. "You little thing, your drawings are certainly unique. This was an accident, would you believe me?" "Oh, sixth brother, you're a big man. You can forgive a little kid." As Chiki was trying to charm him, a maid brought a plate of pastries. Chiki's eyes lit up. "These look so delicious." But the sixth brother stopped her. "It's time for class. Don't eat, you should go now." Chiki had no choice but to leave by herself. Just then, the sixth brother's face darkened. "What was in the pastries? Why did you drug her?" "Just some sleeping powder. The seventh princess is too smart. I was afraid she would be a threat to you, your highness." "Have you forgotten your place? If you dare to harm her again, you can go to the water prison yourself." Meanwhile, Chiki had already skipped to the Imperial Academy. As soon as she sat down, she heard a commotion behind her. "Oh my god!" He-Jing slid face first to Chiki's side, followed by a pair of familiar feet. He-Jing immediately begged for mercy. "Third princess, spare me. I didn't mean to step on your foot. Let me wipe it for you." Old Three kicked out with a sharp leg. "Who wants you to wipe it for me? You're filthy." As she was about to kick him again, she suddenly saw Chiki. She stiffly lowered her leg and awkwardly sent He-Jing away. "That's it? Last time someone annoyed the third princess, wasn't he stripped naked and hung from a tree for 3 days? Looks like the great devil third princess is in a good mood today. No show for us." Old Three huffed arrogantly, turned her head, and walked away. After things quieted down, Chiki thought of her sixth brother. He has such long legs, why isn't he here yet? Just then, a voice came from behind her. "Little princess, are you waiting for the sixth prince?" Chiki turned and saw the bruised and swollen He-Jing. "Yes, your sixth brother won't be coming today." "Why not?" "Because it's the 15th. He never comes on the 15th of the month." Chiki was even more confused. The original story never mentioned this. "Do you know why he doesn't come?" "Why else? He's sick," the third princess suddenly interjected. She then glared at He-Jing and kicked out with a high leg. "Get lost!" And she forcibly took his seat. Chiki was stunned. "What are you looking at? If you keep looking, I'll gouge your eyes out." Chiki grumbled and turned away. "Isn't gouging out eyes the second prince's thing? You're not very old, but you've learned a lot." Soon, it was time for class. As soon as Chin Tai-fu arrived, he started quizzing them on yesterday's homework. "Seventh princess? Here, what is the next line after 'as pure as the snow on the mountains'?" Chiki was in trouble. She was a bad student in her past life. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been reading a novel and ended up in a book. Just as she was squirming in her seat, a soft voice from behind her whispered, as bright as the moon between the clouds. Cheeky heard it and tentatively repeated the answer. Chin Taifu stroked his beard in satisfaction. Excellent, excellent. The seventh princess is indeed very intelligent. Cheeky was so embarrassed she could have died. Thank you, old Chin. Now please shut up. She turned to old 3 and whispered, Third sister, thank you for helping me just now. After school, Cheeky was so tired she couldn't even stand up straight. School is so tiring for a kid. Just then, someone rushed towards her, not only hugging her but also crying out, My Cheeky, Mommy missed you so much. Cheeky was baffled. Mommy? Could this be the original owner's mother, the one who was sent to the cold palace? The woman's tearful declaration of how much she missed her seemed like a touching reunion between a mother and child. But Cheeky remembered from the original story that this consort Rong wasn't very good to her daughter. How did she get out of the cold palace? She would have to be careful and figure out if this person was a friend or foe. Wah! Outside the courtyard, old Zhao was crying his eyes out. The seventh princess is finally reunited with her mother. Your Majesty, this is so moving. Why aren't you crying? Shut up! After entering, Cheeky started looking for Bai. He usually waited for her at the door. Awan stammered, Well, consort Rong ordered Bai to be locked up. Cheeky, my dear, let's get rid of that big tiger. From now on, Mommy can live here with you and tell you stories every day. Cheeky looked at consort Rong's kind and gentle expression, which was just like a loving mother. But didn't the book say she was cold and distant, even to her own daughter? Just then, the tyrant walked in. Cheeky immediately ran over to him like he was her savior. If he had been any later, her home would have been stolen from under her. Father, Daddy! Cheeky, did you miss Daddy during class today? I did! I missed you so much! The man smiled slyly. So you're saying you weren't paying attention in class? Cheeky rolled her eyes. The tyrant was using sneaky tricks. Oh well, just this once. The man planted a kiss on the little pipsqueak's cheek. Consort Rong was shocked by the scene of fatherly affection. This girl is so favored? It seemed the rumors were true. As she was secretly rejoicing, the tyrant's cold gaze fell on her. What are you doing here? Who gave you permission to leave the cold palace? Guards, take Consort Rong back. Your Majesty, Cheeky used to live with me in the cold palace. We've never been apart. I can't live without my daughter. Cheeky's head was spinning. What was going on? Did this consort Rong really love her child? Had she remembered wrong? But the tyrant was as cold as ever. Are you saying you gave birth to this child all by yourself and I have nothing to do with it? You raised my child in the cold palace, letting her become thin and covered in scars, and I haven't even settled the score with you. If it weren't for the fact that you are the seventh princess's birth mother, do you think you would still be alive? Guards, drag her out and throw her back in the cold palace to fend for herself. Consort Rong cried out hysterically, I am willing to be punished, but please, Your Majesty, don't separate me from my daughter. Cheeky, seeing the miserable consort Rong, felt a pang of sadness, perhaps because of the original owner's feelings. She said sweetly, Father Daddy, Cheeky wants to get down. Maybe she should judge people for herself, not just based on what the original story said. She wiped consort Rong's tears. Cheeky can ask Father Daddy to let Mommy stay here, but Mommy can't lock up Bai and you can't order Sister Awan around. Father Daddy, can Mommy stay? The man pinched Cheeky's cheek affectionately. You little pipsqueak, you've completely overruled me with just a few words. Hehehe, it's because Cheeky knows Daddy loves me that I dare to be so bold. Then we'll do as you say. Daddy is the best. Daddy is the best daddy. Hearing this, consort Rong immediately bowed her head in thanks. When no one was looking, a strange smile appeared on her face. Later, Cheeky settled consort Rong in a side room. When she came out, she saw the tyrant standing at the door. She wondered if he was upset that she had taken in consort Rong. Cheeky walked over and said in a small voice, Daddy, are you unhappy? The tyrant, trying to hide his feelings, replied, No. Then can I have a hug? No. The tyrant turned his head away stubbornly. If that's how you want to be, then don't blame me. Cheeky rolled up her sleeves, took a running start, and jumped up to hug the man's arm. I'm falling, Daddy, help me. The tyrant finally gave in and pulled her up. I've met thousands of people in my life, but you little pipsqueak, are the boldest. Is Daddy still mad at Cheeky? Yes. What are you going to do to cheer me up? The little pipsqueak immediately hugged the tyrant's face and gave him a flurry of kisses. The tyrant, not to be outdone, pressed his cheek against Cheeky's and then pretended to be angry. You're such a spoiled little brat. It's late, you should be in bed. A short while later, the tyrant had tucked Cheeky in. Just then, old Zhao cautiously entered. Your Majesty, we've found out. He then whispered something in the tyrant's ear. The tyrant scoffed. So she does have ulterior motives. Your Majesty, should I go? Wait. She is her birth mother, after all. Keep a close watch on her. Report any movements immediately. If she dares to do anything to harm Cheeky, then she won't be breathing for much longer. The next morning, Cheeky was woken up by a scream. She opened her eyes and saw Consort Wrong on the floor, looking at Bai in terror. "You beast, seize it! Who let this beast out? Take it away and give it 40 lashes." In her panic, she grabbed a nearby teacup and was about to throw it at Bai when Cheeky walked over. "Cheeky, my dear, how did this beast get out? What if it bites mommy?" "It seems you don't remember what I said yesterday, Consort." "Yesterday was yesterday. I've moved in now, so I should be managing this palace. Get this beast out of here." Seeing her completely different attitude from yesterday, Cheeky's expression darkened, and she stared straight at Consort Wrong. "He is not a beast. He has a name." Her cold, deliberate words sent a strange chill through Consort Wrong. She even thought that Cheeky's gaze was somewhat similar to the Tyrant's. Was it her imagination? After falling into the water, this girl had become timid and foolish. How could she be like this today? "My lady, do you think the princess remembers?" "No. How could a child remember things from when she was so young? I think this little brat is just getting bold because His Majesty spoils her. Now she doesn't even respect me, but I have to thank her for being favored. It gives me a chance." "Is everything ready?" Hearing this, the maid took out a small bottle. Consort Wrong smiled sinisterly. "Now all we need is the right moment."